I met a gypsy.
Growing up in MTF, being the first kind of generation through like the training facility kind of deal, like, dude, just you in general as a kid, the generation that you were a part of was sort of seemed like the first generation of the real crazy shit in moto, where it was like you had Ricky Carmichael was doing his thing at the top of the sport, and then everyone was like, right, everyone needs to be fit as fuck, like stop everything, like this is what it's got to be. And you were kind of in that first wave, and then then you see the success that you had as a kid and other people that kind of like lived at the training facilities, then that became normal. Even though it's the most unnormal way for a kid to grow up, it became normal. But do you ever think about like growing up at MTF, and like, do you remember the first day getting there and just being like, oh, this is my life now, like I just live at this dirt bike track?
I have lots of honestly, some great memories from there. It was awesome. I wouldn't change it. It was so cool. It's not for everybody. I thrived off that atmosphere of competition every day. But yeah, I remember getting there my first week for the training camp. It was like they did those week training camps, and then I never left. I went there for a week and I ended up staying there for like 10 years. So, but yeah, there was just so, man, I just had, it built, I went there like being a really shy kid, like no like crazy stuff, to being just wild, having fun. But it was like, all we did, wake up, go to the gym, train all day, get on our pit bikes. Like it was like me, and then Savachi came not long after me, so it was like me, Joey, and a couple other kids. We'd ride our pit bikes all day, and then we play with RC cars, go to bed, and do it again, like for years and years and years, until we were probably like, like, I don't know, we kind of grow out of it a little, but not really, like up until we're 15 years old, like riding pit bikes and dirt bikes every day. So it was just really riding nonstop, and then the gym stuff. So it was like you just live to breathe, dirt bikes. I wouldn't change it. I loved it. Like I think it's a not a bad way to grow up, but it breaks kids, it breaks families. Like it's not for everyone. Not everyone's gonna go to MTF and make it to be a professional dirt bike racer. It's just, and a lot, like when I got there was quite a bit of older kids that were in the A class, and they were trying to go pro, and like all those guys, don't race anymore. They all disappeared, and like I would say 95% just don't ride dirt bikes anymore, because it does, it takes you somewhere, and then it can burn you out. So it's quite sad. It's not for everyone, but I have seen some of those guys again, and they have like normal jobs, and like they, life is not just motorcycles. Obviously there's way more things going on. So it's also cool to see the guys who didn't make it, what they do now too. So it's it's not for everybody, but there's definitely a couple sickos of us that just love it.
Yeah, like what do you think was in your personality at such a young age that made you thrive in that environment?
Oh man, the competitiveness of it, I loved. It is weird though, because when I was a kid, like growing up in New York, I didn't want to do any team sports. Like my parents, they're like, hey, like you have to do some kind of sport, and they were named off all these sports, and I was like, no. And they're like, do you want to race dirt bikes? Which they probably wish they didn't say, because it's a crazy way to bring a kid up, and a lot of sacrifices. But I was like, yeah, race motorcycles, and then started racing on the weekend local, and then I don't know. It's like this competitiveness of me. I absolutely thrived off it, and then when I got thrown in MTF, it was like I was a good rider, and then it just skyrocketed, like brought out my aggressive riding and my fun, and like just wild, and I was just able to literally run around a facility and just be a complete animal. Like, just, you literally could get away, you could get away with murder. Like, just, it was absolute. It was like a fence around this place, and you could just, like, I would just free for all, just full wild. And yeah, it was honestly so much fun. It was crazy. But I thrived off that. But the main focus was riding. So I was super passionate about the riding. So the riding always was like, do the riding, but then I had energy 24/7. So I was just, absolute wild. There was this guy, Chad Charbonneau. He also really good rider, that didn't really go professional or anything. His dad owned like a big construction business up in New Hampshire, but he owned GPF and like was a little bit in MTF, which GPF's just across the street from MTF.
Yeah.
And I really looked up to Chad. Like, I just thought he was really cool. Like, I don't know why. Like, he's just a cool dude, and I still, like, I don't see him anymore. I haven't really talked to him in forever, but he's just a cool dude. So, and I was like that annoying fly, just that would pester him. And he lived across the street on the fence, so I'd always go over there and bother him. And they duct taped me. We had these long pine trees at MTF GPF, and they would duct tape me to these pine trees and just leave me there for hours, like just hours, just hanging in these trees. It was hilarious. I remember, I don't know if you know Jojo Keller. He's like old school racer back in the day. He can like wheelie crazy and do all this stuff. And Jojo was down there helping Chad with some stuff. And Jojo he had a soft spot for me. He'd always get me down out of the trees. I remember one year when we used to race at Oak Hill in Texas. Chad just finished washing his bike, and Chad always had the nicest, like cleanest looking bikes, like just decked out, like someone you see their bike and you're just like, oh dude, that's sick of stuff. He just finished washing his bike. I ran up and kicked a mud puddle across this whole bike, and it was like, that was it. He snapped, and he hung. There had these like poles with flags on them, and he hung me on one of those poles. Like, I cannot tell you how many times I got duct taped MTF and these local races, because that was the only way they could control my like ADD. They just had to duct tape me up for a few hours, but it did nothing. Like, I was like right off the tree, like back at it, and just harassing those guys. They probably couldn't stand me. Like, the stories they have is probably great.
There's something to I don't know, there's something to like that little personality trait that you got though, like, do you know Wilson Todd? He was in the lights class on the weekend. He's an Aussie kid, 102 on the Honda.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know him personally, but
well, you're describing yourself. That's what he was like. He grew up around us, and that kid was annoying as fuck, dude.
I can only imagine like how annoying I probably was to those guys. They're probably like, this guy, he was an idiot, and now look at this idiot as a professional supercross racer. Jeez, how'd that happen?
But there's something like I remember there was one time in particular where he used to live like close to one of my other buddies, Todd, and we were out on the ski boat one day. It was like, lived on like this big freshwater lake, and we're on this ski boat, and then we're all like on the donut, and you know how you do a whip and you like whip around and then fucking bang. So this kid, Wilson, he was probably like an 8-9-year-old kid, right? And he gets on the boat and he's like, no one could get me off this thing. There's no chance any one of you would get me off this donut. And we were just like, okay, like we can make this happen.
Yeah.
So we thrashed the absolute fuck out of this kid. Didn't let go. Like, it was gnarly. Like, I was like, all right, boys, let's back down. Like, we're probably going to hurt him. He refused to let go. And that's that, like, competitive nature, and, like, I definitely, like, I just don't know if I can relate to that as a kid. Like, I feel like nowadays I'm probably more competitive, but I think that there was probably, if I'm completely honest, like, there was probably a part of me that was scared to compete as a kid because I didn't want to lose. Like, I was scared to lose in front of people. Like, so you obviously just didn't have that, maybe.
Yeah, I think, like, I came into MTF at a really good spot in like my age. So there was all like 125 racers, and there was really not any really 85 riders.
Yeah.
Like there was a couple like or whatever, but like I came in and I ended up being like the best 85 rider, and I was always chasing these 16, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old riders, and then after me, like B Maisie came, Savachi, like a couple other 80s riders, so they were always chasing after me. And then, but like I know there's a Verb video out there somewhere, and it's like has me like trying to like rip this 125 kid off his bike, like because like he like got mad at me because I probably tried to smash him. I know who exactly it is, this kid Sonny Drake. He also used to be a great racer. Like I secretly, maybe not even secretly, but I looked up to all these kids. I thought they were so cool on these 125s, and I would just like wide open, like just, but I didn't care. I'd slam it in there. Like it just didn't matter. It was like, I think that's what it was for me. I just came into that facility at a good age, like the right timing. And I mean, everything in the world is just, a lot of things in the world is just timing, and timing for me, it was like, well, all the stars kind of aligned, and yeah, we're sitting here talking about it now. It's rad.
We're excited to announce the launch of our new membership site, gypsytales.com, packed with exclusive content and perks that you won't find anywhere else. This is your chance to become a part of the Gypsy Gang. And as a special bonus, if you sign up to an annual membership, you'll be entered into the draw to win our custom-built TC125. Gypsy Gang.